Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 1990s Represent. We're still in our sixth cycle of 1991, talking about a movie, and on this episode, we're talking about Hot Shots. So, the parody slash spoof of Top Gun. Top Gun came out in 1986, and that is the primary movie that this movie is spoofing. There's a few other scenes in there from like other films, such as like Gone with the Wind. I think there's like a little bit of like Superman in there. A few other films are kind of parodied in this, but the main kind of storyline of spoof is off of Top Gun. So obviously this came out in the summer of 1991. I didn't see it until 1992. I remember watching it on HBO and watching it a lot. It's been a very, very long time since I've actually rewatched this. But watched it on HBO in 92, recorded it off of HBO onto like VHS. And at the time, I was going to this summer day camp. I remember going to that camp from the late 80s, maybe like 1988, maybe 1989, until 1992. And it was just kind of a thing like during the day, during the summer. And I think I was in the group of the older kids. So there was usually there may have been like two or three different age groups. And the older group, which I was in, kind of got to just do almost whatever we wanted. So like if we wanted to go to to go bowling, we got to go bowling. If you wanted to go to an arcade, we got to do that. I remember like one time we just wanted to go fishing, so we went fishing. The other younger groups had like a little more structure to what they were doing, but the group I was in just kind of got to do whatever. So in the summer of 1992, I remember bringing in a bunch of like VHS tapes. I remember like bringing in Wayne's World and we watched that. I remember bringing in this movie and we watched this and had a really good time watching it. Like I said, it had been a long time since I seen this. I think it maybe had been like 1992 or maybe 1993 was the last time I remember seeing this movie. I remember seeing the sequel when that came out in theaters in 1993. The sequel's pretty fun too. But I think the original, my favorite part of the sequel is just like the little like Terminator 2 parody that they did. But yeah, the original is a lot of fun still. Great comedic timing from Charlie Sheen. Lloyd Bridges is pretty funny, and Cary Elwes is he basically plays this movie's version of Iceman from the original, played by, of course, the legendary late Val Kilmer. Charlie Sheen plays, I think it's like Topper Harley, which is essentially the Maverick role. Let me bring up the cast list because I'm probably going to mispronounce her name. And she basically fills it. It's let me see, just click her name here. Valeria Golino, who plays kind of the love interest. The character's name is, let me just see here, Ramada Thompson. So she plays Ramada, which is essentially almost like the Kelly McGillis character from Top Gun. But I have some notes here about the movie. We're going to get through those, and then we'll discuss the plot and all that kind of stuff. Let me just pull this open here. Again, new notebook. Just started up. So Hot Shots was first released July 31st, 1991. It was written and directed by Jim Abrams, who is probably more famous for working with the Zucker, Abrams, and Zucker Company or group. And that group of writers and filmmakers was kind of responsible for stuff like Airplane, Top Secret, and the Naked Gun series. It's been a while since I've seen any of those. I know they're remaking Top Gun or not Top Gun. They're remaking what is it? The Naked Gun with Liam Neeson. And I don't think that's a particularly good idea, but the original Naked Gun is a blast. The second one I didn't like as much, and the third one was it was still good, but just all right. But yeah, so this is basically another movie in that kind of vein. It's a little, I think you lose a little something when you don't have the Zuckers involved, because this one is basically just written and directed by Jim Abrams, who is part of that group. But I think like their best stuff is when they were like a trio, in my opinion. Again, they released a sequel to this movie, Hot Shots Part 2, in 1993. I remember seeing that in theaters when it came out. It was actually, remember it pretty well because I forget what we were doing. We were in New York. And like I think I was like visiting my grandparents or something, and like one day we decided just to go to movies, and we just got to choose a movie, and I chose to go to the Hot Shot sequel. Had a lot of fun with that, and I think had only maybe ever seen that movie once in theaters, maybe once more on HBO or something. Um, Let me see here. And also, these kind of movies don't seem to be getting made anymore. I can totally see why, because there was a point where these movies were just very oversaturated. Like we had the like Not Another Teen Movie, which kind of spoofed all the teen movies. That one was kind of fun. There was all the scary movies. Um, a bunch of other kind of like I want to say it was like in the early 2010s is where I think there was like a vampires like a movie that was spoofing kind of like the Twilight series and all that kind of stuff. And I think it kind of just became like very oversaturated. Also, if like I don't really see these movies getting made that much because I don't know if there's like a lot of interest in these movies anymore. At least going to theaters, like if you're going to theaters and paying, like whatever the price of a ticket is, $14-15, you're probably gonna go see something that's more worthwhile of being seen on the big screen, and not some kind of a parody movie like this. And then also, I think just the fact that now media moves so quickly that by the time they make a parody movie about something or have some kind of joke about another movie or something like that, like the time for that joke is like past. Like it just moves a lot faster now. Um, so yeah, we don't really see these kind of movies being made a whole lot anymore. Like I said, early 2010s was probably the last time I remember seeing like these kind of movies get like a theatrical run. At least like not like one-off movies here and there. Let me grab the notebook again. I remember this winning an MTV Movie Award in 1992 for Best Performance by an Inanimate Object for the olive. So Topper, Charlie Sheen's character, like puts the olive in that lady's belly button and basically flings it into her mouth, and she like eats it. And then they'll do a whole thing where they're like cooking like eggs on her stomach and stuff like that. It's just insanely silly, very very silly. But a lot of this movie on my most recent rewatching, I had completely forgotten about a lot of the stuff in this movie. Pretty much like almost all of it I had kind of forgotten. I had forgotten like the main plot of the movie, which we'll get to in just a moment. But the only things I really remember were there was this. I remember the thing with the olive. I remember Carrie Elwes going to Ramona's house and picking up a chafing dish and just be like, "I'm shaking the chafing dish," and just kind of his character is all very kind of snooty about it. I remember the scene with the motorcycle where Charlie Sheen is riding the motorcycle and Valerina is riding the horse, and they're basically just trying to one up each other. Like Topper Harley at one point stands on the motorcycle and is like kind of like doing like dancing like this, so he's going like all that kind of stuff on the motorcycle. Very silly. She is at one point grabs a tree branch and basically does like gymnastics on that. It's kind of funny because you can actually pretty easily see the gymnastics bar, but the camera angle is trying to hide it to make it look like it's a tree branch. Just kind of very silly. The only other thing with this movie that it feels like obviously it came out in 1991, so it's very dated. But the main mission of the movie is they're like doing some attack against like Saddam Hussein. So that's obviously a very early 90s thing. So it definitely was still an entertaining movie to watch, but I don't think it particularly holds up very well from that standpoint. We're going to close up the notebook, and now we're going to get to the plot of this film. So the plot of the film is basically like I said, a spoof of Top Gun. There is a main story that goes through the movie. So basically, beginning of the movie starts 20 years earlier, so like early 70s, probably like around like Vietnam War era. And there's two pilots, like they basically crash, one ejects, and another pilot named Mailman basically crashes, and he's got antlers stuck to his helmet now, and he gets mistaken for a deer and gets shot. And then it jumps 20 years forward into the future, where I think the guy's name is Eyewitness. That's the character's name. He's played by Kevin Dunn, who you know from like the Transformers films. I forget what else he was in recently that I remember seeing. I think he was in. It was Small Soldiers from the 1998 series. I think he played the kid's dad in that movie. But he's like, hey, Topper, that's Charlie Sheen's character. We need you to come back for a very important mission, and he's living kind of with, like, on his own now. Kind of, it's like a very Dances with Wolves kind of like situation. He's like, hey, like, come back. We got a mission for you to do. And so he eventually accepts the mission. This is when you have the motorcycle scene where you see Ramada riding around on a horse. Charlie Sheen is riding around on a motorcycle, and they're just trying to one up each other. So you see, she has the horse on two legs, doing the pull the horse back like that. He's doing that to the motorcycle. She at one point stands on the horse and is riding around the horse, is standing on it, and he stands on his motorcycle, then does the various like disco moves on top of it. And then they get to the base, and it's revealed that Carrie Ellis's character is the son of Mailman, and the whole thing is people basically blame Charlie Sheen's father, his character, for the death of Mailman. And then there's a whole thing where like all the characters are like somewhat related to, I think it's John Cryer's character named Washout. He's got like I think it's like walleye vision. So the camera, whenever the camera is from his perspective, it's just like very close like that. So that's his whole thing. There's another guy named Dead Meat. So basically the main people that he flies with are Washout, Dead Meat, and Carrie Ellis's character. I forget his character's name. But they do a bunch of training exercises, and then it's revealed that Kevin Dunn's character has been brought in by this corporation that wants to sabotage the mission that they're on to basically get a contract from the U.S. from the Air Force to get maybe I don't remember to get these planes. So basically, it's like, hey, your planes need to fail this mission, so the government is more inclined to buy my planes. It's kind of like basically just kind of sabotaging the mission to make the government buy this guy's planes. And they bring in, that's why Charlie Sheen's character is there, is that they know he's kind of reckless and has like a lot of like history with like not doing great at these drop missions. So they bring him in specifically for these missions to fail. That's basically the plot. And then there's like a bunch of just various like sight gags. One of my favorite things is Lloyd Bridges' character, who's the admiral, and he's got like a metal plate in his head. He's got like no ear canal. Like a lot of his body parts. He's like, oh, I lost my. He's like, my knee is complete titanium. I lost that in like Normandy or something like that. And one of my favorite gags of the movie is there's a part where he says he has no ear canal, I think. And he's like, check it out. He takes like a rag and basically puts the rag through this ear and it comes out this ear, and you see him like flossing his ears with the rag. It's just incredibly silly. He's constantly also having like flashbacks. Like at one point, one of the pilots dies, akin to kind of Goose dying in Top Gun, and they do the 21 gun salute, and he has like a flashback, and he pulls a gun out and starts like he's like throws a grenade into like a lake and stuff like that. It's like very, very silly. Some of the other kind of gags is, like I said, there's a part where Topper and Valerina's character like start like hanging out, and they do a whole thing with the olive I mentioned. There's a part where they're like cooking like eggs on her stomach. It's just insanely silly. But Carrie Ellis's character was in a relationship with her at some point, and he's getting like very jealous. That's when he goes back and gets the chafing dish. It's one scene, I don't know why I remember this scene so well, but you see him walking with this chafing dish, and he's like, I see you two are happy. I'm taking my chafing dish home. And she's like, it's not your chafing dish. He's like, yes, it is. And he's like, well, I don't want it anymore. And she's like, well, take the chafing dish. It's whatever. Dead Meat's character, like I said, gets killed, and it's one of those funny things where like the character shouldn't have gotten killed, but they're like all kinds of explains. Like, so Dead Meat's character, or Dead Meat's wife, comes to the like air base when they're flying like one of their exercises. And she's like, hey, we finally got approved for that home. So it's all this good stuff is happening. So you obviously know this character is done for. He's like, hey, we got approved for this home. He's like, oh, that's great. She's like, you just need to sign these life insurance forms. And he signs it, and the pen isn't working. And he's like, oh, I'll sign it when I get back. Don't worry. And she's like, he's like, did you find the stuff on the JFK assassination? He's like, oh, I got it right here. I got all the information. This goes all the way up to the White House or something like that. He's like, I'll share it with you when I get back. Of course, that never happened. So like, his plane crashes. He's in an ambulance, and he looks like he's probably fine. He goes into a hospital, and the next scene is a funeral. Like, it's kind of one of those very kind of silly things where a character dies immediately. Next scene is a funeral. So you obviously know that character's going to die because everything's going so well for him, and then it's like, oh, now he's gone. But at that point, I think that's kind of when they have the funeral and the 21 gun salute happens, and then Lloyd Bridges' character has these like war flashbacks and what have you. They eventually get their orders that they're actually going to. And at this point, Kevin Dunn's character is like, okay, this should be enough to, like, do this thing for this military contractor. Where he's like, and the guy's like, no, he's like, this looks like a regular accident. We need your planes to fail in combat for the government to buy mine. And Kevin Dunn's character eventually has a change of heart and kind of like eventually tells Charlie Sheen's character the truth about his father, which is like, he's like, your father died heroically trying to save Mailman. He's like, because people had blamed him, and he said that he basically just ejected. But there's a silly scene where it, like, is a flashback because Kevin Dunn was like, I was there when it happened. And you see him trying to rescue Mailman in just ridiculous ways. He's like crawling over the cockpit and like literally climbs through an engine. And of course, doesn't get injured by it or anything like that. To try to like unclip, he's like trying to like cut the other guy's like seatbelt off or something. But he eventually like flies off the plane, and then the plane crashes. And then it cuts back to the present day, and they are attacking essentially like a base that Saddam Hussein has. A bunch of Iraqi fighters get scrambled, and Topper basically takes care of them very easily. And then in the trailer, like, he drops the bomb on Saddam. He's like, Sayonara, Saddam. And you see him drop the bomb, and it's just like kind of like very silly scene of Saddam Hussein sitting in a like a lounge chair, like a beach chair, just sipping like a cocktail. And then you see him spit the cocktail out, and this bomb just lands on him. Like, doesn't explode, or it does eventually, but you just see him. It's like just basically just lands on him. He's like, oh, like that, and then it, of course, eventually explodes. Oh yeah, there was a scene that also kind of mimicked something in The Fabulous Baker Boys, as well as the scene from the original Top Gun, where they are trying to serenade Kelly McGillis' character. They do that here, but like basically it's somebody's playing a piano at a bar, and Valerina's character is like singing, and then Topper starts playing the piano, and then that's kind of when they go back to her house and do the whole cooking and the olive bit. But end of the movie, basically, the people that are trying to sabotage the stuff get like caught, I think. And then at one point, Charlie Sheen's character, he's like, "Oh, I got my father's eyes," and he pulls a thing out, and he actually like shows her. It's like literally eyeballs in a little like case. But he throws them into the ocean, kind of similar to how Maverick throws away, I think they're Goose's dog tags, so he finally lets them go. But then at the end, they do the very similar thing between Iceman and Maverick, but it's between Topper and Carrie Ellis's character, where I think like Charlie Sheen's like, "What's a chafing dish?" And he's like, "Well, a chafing dish is used to keep things warm, like during like a party." And he's like, "Isn't that a crock pot?" And he's like, "No, one is for cooking, the other is." It's just kind of a whole explanation of how a chafing dish works. And then he eventually lets go of his jealousy, kind of Carrie Ellis's character, and is like, "Oh, go be with Topper," to her. He's like, "Goodbye, my dear," kind of like that. At the end of the film, you see Charlie Sheen go back to where he was at the beginning of the movie, and then he meets up again. Valerina's character is actually there, and she holds up 2 strips of bacon, like they're gonna do the cooking thing again. And then Charlie Sheen's character just pulls out 2 huge T-bone steaks and is like, and then she drops the pieces of bacon. That's when the movie ends. And then it's kind of funny in the credits. You see, I think like supposed to be in spirit of Mailman and Deadbeat. And then in the credits, it's funny. Like very beginning of the credits is like the recipe for like some kind of cookie dough. It's just weird. But yeah, that's basically the movie. It's kind of hard to recap because there's a lot of visual comedy in this. A lot of it is wordplay. I remember there's one scene where like Charlie Sheen is going in to talk to the psychiatrist, which is Valerina's character, and you see a ladder in like a hallway, and you see a guy grab like a whole like I don't know if it's a rope or cable. He has like his arms are completely full, and you see him walk up this ladder and unscrew a light bulb. Just something very silly where like changing a light bulb has to have all this equipment, and then after he leaves her office, you just see in the background, that's behind Charlie Sheen's character, is a bunch of sparks flying. There's like, so like obviously something went wrong. She's like, hey, like take care of yourself. He's like, I don't need anybody like to take care of me. She's like, no, be careful. And he's like, and then she's talking about the thing that's happening behind him, not necessarily something figuratively. And he walks into it and gets electrocuted. Just dumb, kind of silly stuff like that. So a lot of it is just visual gags, wordplay, stuff that you would be accustomed to with their other films, like The Naked Gun or Airplane, things like that. But yeah, it's still a fun comedy. It doesn't necessarily hold up well. Like some of the references are going to be pretty dated, especially like the stuff if like you're watching it now. Like some people might have like the younger generation might not even know who Saddam Hussein was. So it was kind of topical at the time, but maybe like a lot of stuff now is just kind of like a bygone thing, unfortunately. But that's going to do it for this video. We'll be back again in a few days doing a video game. So remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again next time. Thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one. See ya.